Alright,
I don't know what.
alright. Brandon Crone, I will call the Finance and Personnel Committee regular meeting to order. President in the hall is
Caleb Garn.
Brandon Crone. Alright. Public comment on agenda items, 2 minutes per person, 14 minutes per topic. Is there anyone for public comment? Are you taking the long way around or are you, no, alright, get the agenda, okay. I thought you were taking the long way to the pulpit there. Anyone online? Have any public comment?
Oh. Thank you.
Right, hearing none. We are closing public comment. Item 3, we are going over, the minutes from,
Oh, sorry, yeah,
minutes from March 12th and April 7th.
Oh, here he is.
You're right,
Hey, hey.
we just, closed public comment. I will, relinquish, the chair, back to Ryan. We are,
Minutes. Yep, review minutes of March 12th and
April 7th.
April 7th. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from 12th and 7th.
Second. Motion by Brandon, second by Caleb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Library report, I don't believe,
Christina is not.
yeah, Chris, we're not gonna be able to make it tonight due to a family commitments, which I told her was perfectly fine. And she had left us information about the Somerset audio tour. If you haven't heard about this, if you've seen the yard signs around.
I've
and
seen
then-
signs,
yeah.
yeah. I haven't
So
done one yet though. Have you done one?
you do the one out front here, it'll be about the bank robbery that was held here in the 70s, so.
They should have blew the place up. Sorry.
Move on, impact fee report. Our packets, Andrew, so see,
I believe there's 20. 19, sorry.
thank you,
Nice, that Olson sanitation one was, a larger one,
no,
which is.
but it's also larger on services, so.
The commercial fees are calculated based on the size of the building.
How much? Yeah, it looks like a nice building's come up very nicely.
Yeah.
Do we have to adapt that?
No, it's just for information.
Okay. Look at Capstone go.
Most of the reports are informational, there's something, so. Any department head meeting report at all? You
No.
guys had a chance to, I know it's busy, so,
No formal meeting was held.
and you guys talk. All the time, so it's as well, so.
Yep.
The biggest one is, I think, is this all starts that communication is occurring, and that is a constant thing, so. Well, that's good to see. 2025 budget to date. It's in our packets. Hey, Andrea, that's, you see alarming coming into middle of the 6th month.
No,
Revenue can always be a little bit off on percentages this time of year because of the way it's received.
the major thing is there's been no tax revenue reported on here. We've collected the tax revenue, but I wait until we get the final settlement payment before I apply it to the budget.
So that's why, you know, look at only 16% revenue versus. Whole. 39% revenue or expenses. Just want to point out that we haven't, like Anthony said, the taxes, the big item when first tax levy is not usually recorded yet until. What, after that July collection, yeah, August.
Yeah, looking at everything here, it looks like,
What's usually the other one right here is, workers' comp, which is one of the insurance ones usually, it has to be corrected. I'm looking, remembering back.
The insurance payments will be allocated, yeah. To each department.
Okay. Any questions?
no, I was just gonna say, it looks like everything's right around 50%, anything that's not is. Stuff that's a budget line item, like less than $1,000, so. Think we're on track.
Item 8, no unfinished business, new business, proposal and recommendation of Bomar appraisal reevaluation proposal.
So the only thing I have was the email that you
Yeah.
forwarded, Ryan, and, just to note, we have $40,000 set aside in the capital improvement fund for reevaluation.
Yeah, and it was more or less just to get the discussion started at this level and board level. To get the awareness out there, because he said he's not ready to do it in 2026.
Right,
And so it'd be a 2027.
Yeah.
Project. So I don't know if at this point we need to commit to it
Well-
until we do or did he, I forget.
our
It's been a while.
contract ends 2025, so we'll
Okay.
have, it's a combined.
Thank
2
you
years
for-
of assessment plus the reval, so 3 years total. But
And
I,
point of information, give me the broad stroke of what this is for.
So every year he has to do maintenance reevaluations, you know, someone builds a new house, someone does an addition, someone whatever, he has to do maintenance on the tax appraisal system. But at certain points, we are state mandated to do a total reevaluation,
Sure,
and we are approaching that point.
is that triggered by time or growth?
It's
or-
formulas, is it?
it's based on what our assessed value, is compared to what the fair market value is, estimated fair market value. If that drops below 70 or 75%, then the state will require you within so many years to do a reevaluation so that your property values are more in line with what the estimated fair market value is.
Got it.
And right now, I believe we're in the 60s. So
So we're out of compliance.
we're
more
out
or
of
less.
compliance.
So we need to.
We're on that clock, is what I'm getting at.
Okay. So we'll need to have this figured out before he can get
Well,
near the 2027.
so
Well,
he'll do it. He'll go around in 2027, or their company will go to every property and make sure that their value is correct. So
So
that would be,
we'll be working to get into that compliance of that
right,
standard. Okay.
yeah, but at Board of Review, Mike with Bomar
Yep.
stated that he has too many for 2026. So ours will be set for 2027.
And that's fine with.
That's fine.
And so what you see in there is what it would be if it was just regular maintenance, straight payments, or divided over a 3-year contract. And that's what he's done for us, is dividing it over a 3-year contract, or just straight cost for each year. But then in 2027, we'd have to you know, make sure that line item that Andrea was referring to is gonna cover the expenses up through, you know, that and, you know, budget additional, or,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, I'm
or,
assuming
or try to maintain that budget item that Andrea referred to, you know, above 30,000 every year.
Yep,
The capital improvements is for the the reevaluation only,
Okay.
not
And
the
we have-
maintenance. The maintenance goes in the general fund
Fund.
budget.
Yeah,
And I'm assuming this, since this other person is quitting and not doing it anymore, this person's already booked up, this must be a hard position to fill, there's not.
no, it's,
This is our current assessor.
Oh, this is our. current
yeah,
one,
it's
okay.
not a new, no, it's just that they have to take on too many contracts for next
Okay.
year, that
Yeah.
they can't do another community.
It's a lot of work for
Okay,
them,
yeah, and we don't need to look at this time bringing on another assessor.
correct?
No, I think, the village is, you know, I only sat through the one board review, you know, we had no one at board review to come to open a complaint at all, or a case, or whatever you wanna call it. So you had a lot of time, 2 hours to sit and talk with the gentleman, I mean. These are Jessica, you can, you know, you got to spend the 2 hours with us, I mean, he kind of walked through what he did this year, I mean, it sounded very, and he really said, I understand you guys may wanna do it next year to get, you know, in compliance, they'll probably bring up revenues, you know, but, he can't do it, yeah, and
Well,
this email was just more or less confirming that and
Well, I
finding
guess,
out what the cost would be.
yeah, and I'm against the heavy-handed maintenance approach, I mean.
Well, we're
I wanna be
required
out
to,
there, I mean, I guess that we gotta stay in compliance, but I don't wanna go out and have to reassess every time someone puts a stick up outside.
Right.
no, and I don't think
And
that's,
not the case.
Okay.
no, that's not how what I understand this gentleman operates, he's not the one that is, you know, not, you got a building permit, he's knocking on the door to take a tour of your house.
Okay.
You know, that's when you get the,
yeah, these are curbside appraisals.
Yeah. Then, yeah.
So, just so I'm clear, we have the maintenance costs of the 13,800, the 64,200. 14,100 plus
No.
30,000.
No.
no, it would be the 13, the 14 roughly was what we'd have an operational budget for.
And he's just. willing
And then
to
subtract that average maintenance for 2027.
He's willing to rework those costs into the even 30,000
Right.
payments.
Yeah.
Got it. And what is our average spend with him annually?
It's roughly that 13.8. I think it goes
Okay.
up like 3% every year.
So if we set aside just a little bit more next year, or it's roughly the same, what do, you know, we're setting aside for capital projects?
There's 40,000 in
Yeah.
there. I don't believe we put anything in last year. I can double check on it.
Since the question
We
is,
can certainly put, you know, another 20 in for 2026, and then we would have the 60,000.
that's what I'm getting at, would it be better for us to put aside the 20,000
Mhm.
rather than making 3 bigger payments?
Right,
I mean, if considering we've got 40,000 set aside already,
Right.
I'm kind of leaning towards, say, you know, allocating another 20,000. That way it keeps 25 or 26 and 28 back at normal maintenance levels.
you
And
wouldn't have a big fluctuation in your general budget from 26 to 27 and then back to 20.
But then. We just give, we don't have to make a motion or anything like that. We just
No.
give you guidance more or less. at this
I would
point.
rather get.
get a formal contract.
Yeah,
Okay. I like the structure of that, and if that works better for us,
Mhm.
let's do it.
Yeah, so let's very, I guess, formal contract and go from there.
Yeah, and our valuations are likely to go up significantly.
Well, yeah, but
I'm sure.
But at the same time, you're in what should happen, if the evaluations are being handled correctly. the tax levy should adjust accordingly.
Gives them new bills.
Yeah.
Right.
So. It may look different, but what people should be paying should be roughly. You know, the same,
Similar.
So
similar.
we're talking about a couple $100 maybe fluctuation. We're not talking, it's gonna be like
Maybe.
$1,500.
It could even go the other, it could be even the positive,
Oh, okay, based on the fact that you have all of the other new properties.
based on his, he's totally looking at everything,
Everything's balanced.
Got it.
everything's rebalanced rather than.
What's going on spec and wine shop is for 50 bunkers.
Yeah. I think there's $1 million home out there.
So that's, I mean. I mean, it's hard to predict what it, but generally, my experience that when we've done at least a couple of the revals,
Mhm.
it's, everyone's afraid to hold a heavy new tax bill,
Right.
and it comes out.
It's not just looking at your house, it's looking at.
Yeah.
Just looking at the whole bill.
Yeah.
Now, one person's, just for example, like you had said, who's there is, you know, being evaluated at 400,000 and it's really worth $1 million. Yeah, they're gonna see a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just wanna
Or
make
if
sure,
you do improvements on your home where then that gets added on to your value, then of course your bill may go up.
Right.
So there's,
Like if you pour a nice new concrete.
great.
I would never need a concrete license for that. You need a driveway license for that permit.
All right.
So,
Good, thanks for bringing this up, I learned a lot on that, thank you.
the next item is one I've been talking about, and whether we wanna do it or not is, I guess, in front of us to discuss, well, this is. Civic Plus is now the owner of Unicode. Unicode is our online ordinance provider. And what I got questioning them is, how do we handle the issue of, okay, we adopt ordinances. Not say monthly, but let's just say monthly, and but they only get published once or twice a year. And they actually didn't get published for almost close to 2 years.
We made a lot of changes over the last 2 years.
So I was asking, how do you handle that in this day and age with technology? There's gotta be, without incurring publication fees, in the second page. I believe they're in this package, so it's hard to tell what they are if it's would go outside.
the first page is the proposal that was given.
Yeah.
The second page is our current contract. And it's my understanding, based on the communication from, Crystal Hayes at Civic Plus, that we would still be paying our current contract, plus an additional,
It would be half of this, because it'd be only for the remaining this year, but, yes, but
so
this would be
this would be a new fee that
Correct.
is not budgeted.
So the question is, do we want to leave our ordinances? You know, do we want to find, the question is, do we want to find a way, what this would do is, there would be a section that will allow us to publish new ordinances in a section called new ordinance section, and they would just sit there. And when we log in, public, and anyone from the public logs in, they would see them. They wouldn't be in the rest of the code until they're done through the regular schedule of the second page, whatever that method is.
Cause
If we choose to do it, if we wanted to pay for them to do it more regularly, there is an additional cost of doing that per time. And I was trying to read what that was.
so currently we can update once per year,
Twice.
twice per year.
We send the ordinances to them whenever they're approved.
Yeah.
However, the
Yeah,
plan
public.
that we're on is only twice a year, January and July,
So do we not
that they
set,
get put on the internet.
so we did set, so we said that we didn't have updates for 2 years.
I was not aware of that.
When I found out with Tasia in January of this year, right off, right around January. There hadn't been updates in over a year, close to over 18 months.
So,
It's hard to believe with Felicia being the one doing that.
when this, so, or that's, so. That, we'll say that's neither here nor there, but the grind where this really starts getting, messy is. So, if there's building stuff that's updated. And the builder can't see it, or if. They're doing something that isn't to code and it's not updated at that time. Is that kind of the concern of where it gets messy, or?
That's what I bring up, is it worth? You know, having that held back for 2 months, or is there worth having this new technology? That's all, that's the question I'm wanting people to ask.
Yeah,
And if we don't wanna change it, we don't change it, that is fine.
yeah, no, I'm just trying to, and how many more updates will this get us then? So instead of doing it
It would
twice a
still be the
year.
2 years,
Okay,
but we'd have.
that
everything-
section.
Everything would be in that section.
It'd be, so.
I have no idea what this is. I think it would be beneficial to have a presentation
We
of
could do that, yep.
what exactly this is. Typically, in the past, if ideas like this come up, usually staff reaches out to the vendor and then they're informed of what this new product is. That didn't happen this time. So I can't tell you if I think this is a good thing or not, 'cause
So
I don't know what it is.
I'm assuming there's a state mandate around when they have to be published and how often.
Honestly, I don't know, but I would assume it probably is, but
I would like the answer to that question, in addition to why do we pay somebody to quote unquote publish our ordinances rather than we do it?
well, I don't think it's a very wise idea, because it's a very complex it's not just posting them in like a big PDF. Cause you're able to download, we wouldn't have that capability. You wouldn't be able to download each section.
I'll pull it up. If you looked at the ordinances online, it's that whole thing. So it's their website, they're the ones that did the codification for us. So
When you say codification, now what is that? What does that specifically mean in this
the book of
context?
ordinances,
Yeah, so every,
Code, by
like
it,
that whole book right there,
yeah.
they brought that all to us. It's right there.
yeah, no, I was wondering if it was one of those old
Well,
books.
fine, maybe just say like, make it official.
I think around 2002, 2003. Our ordinance had gotten so far out of date and unmaintained. And the provider also, I think, was sold. There was a lot of reasons around that time. We went through a recodification, which completely changed our ordinances. And so that was over 20 years ago.
So they're
And that time was
providing,
like every 20, 30 years.
they're providing quote unquote legal advice as a part of this.
They properly format into a readable code.
Okay.
Well, format, so they're formatting it to a degree and tying it into the Wisconsin, the greater Wisconsin statutes, I think too. I think that it's hyperlinked on some of them, I thought.
Yeah.
So as you can see right here, this was last updated May 16th, 2025.
But first adopted. I think whatever, but what?
Yeah.
The online code
The online code
has been
has been
updated.
updated since May.
Yeah.
So anything up to May is, all the ordinances are on this website. Whereas we have to wait for the paper copies of this book until they send them.
Are you
to
still
us.
maintaining the paper copy too?
Mhm.
Why do we gotta do the paper copy if we got that?
In case of, I'll say, well, a tornado, we're in an emergency situation for several days. We don't have access to our code,
Yeah.
for enforcement.
Russian spyware.
Take that away too.
Well, no, it's a legitimate thing, you have to, and I believe we do have to provide a paper copy.
Okay, I'm just asking, cause at my job, I'm always pushing for paperless always all the time, so.
But it used to be that we maintained 20-some books, each board member, each department head.
Oh, so,
The board had, there's a copy at the county, there's the village attorney has a copy, building inspector has a copy. Not the department head.
Not currently, but I'm saying used
No,
to.
previously, there was not the.
Okay.
There
so the
was like
building
12.
inspector, does get a every time there's an updated one, he gets
Mhm.
a copy sent, okay,
Yep.
well, that's
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
You know that. Cause that'd be the one I'd be worried the most about, of not enforcing the code for implementation.
It's more of a transparency, that question. You know, is it worth the extra $1,300? I really don't know.
Well, I don't think it's an additional 1,300, it's an additional 2,400.
No, that's what we're paying
The
already.
2,400 is what we pay now.
We pay that already,
I have the numbers back there.
Mhm.
and then we'd only have to do half of that for this year.
Well, or whatever the prorated amount would be.
With the prorated.
Which is not budgeted for.
So is it something we budget for? Or reconsider at budget time? That's,
I think we consider it a budget time, I feel like
and then allow for a presentation?
I need a lot of questions answered and. My time on the board, I'm not aware of this being a real issue. But. I may not be aware of a lot
Well,
of other.
I'll
Inputs.
I'll give you my issue, being off the board for a period of time. There was lots and lots of ordinance changes. So I was, looking that up. And I'd find some changes, and then I would say, here, well, that was changed, but I couldn't find it online.
Sure. Yeah,
I do have to admit that sometimes stuff is hard to find on just a website and stuff in general, so,
well, yeah, but that's everything,
yeah.
that's not just the ordinance.
But our own websites, I'm talking about our own.
Well, yeah, I said that. We started the project mid-year last year, switching to the new. And then,
It's
then we went into the winter, and then we, went through, Tasia left. A new clerk started. Still, in the ramp up phase. To resume that project to whatever next steps may or may not be. I don't think there's been any discussion on what those next steps may or may not be.
Yeah. that's
Because they probably would have happened. Not in the normal process if Tasia was still here. Well, Tasia's not here.
Yeah.
And now we have Jessica. And we've got to allow a little more time before that resume.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not coming at the website, but
Yeah.
see the website's garbage, better than it used to be.
Well, at least the format's
The
properly.
black, the glare, not for whatever vehicles out there.
Yeah, at least it didn't formats properly on your phone. I mean, just little technical glitches like that, but so. Well,
I move that we get a presentation and revisit this at budget time.
Frank Crown second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to convene the closed session as per state statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of a public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding vacation payout? Someone willing to make that motion?
So moved.
Frank Crown second.
Motion by Caleb, second by Brandon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is unanimous.
We will.
Caleb, yes. Brandon, yes. Myself, yes.
We'll go sit in the heat room.
Yeah, Chris is welcome to stay.
I think Donnie's sticking around on Zoom.
No, no.
Oh, shush, okay.
And I'll just the decision.
Mhm.
Majority decision to award 15 hours in vacation employout to the former employee.
Motion to adjourn?
If you any future agenda items requests at this time and not, send them to me and Andrea.
Frank Crum second, the motion to adjourn.
All be right.
Aye.
We adjourn 5:57.